All right, so are you ready to dive into prepping for a technical sales rep interview in the textile industry?
Absolutely. I think this is going to be a really interesting one.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of guides here, a career guide and an interview guide
Oh,
that we're going to be kind of pulling from. And then later on, we'll touch on RoleCatcher's AI and how that can be helpful for you.
sounds good.
So this role, it seems like a real balancing act to me.
It
You
is.
need the knowledge of the machinery,
Yeah, you really need to know the machines inside and out.
but then you also have to be able to connect with people.
That's right. It's about building those relationships with the clients and understanding their needs,
Yeah.
and then, of course, presenting the solutions, in a way that clicks for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The career guide uses this term of a bridge, like you're bridging the
What?
technical with the business side of things.
I like that analogy.
So let's jump into some of these questions that you might find in an interview setting.
Okay, let's do it.
So first up, describe your experience with textile machinery. I feel like this one can be a little tricky
It can be tricky.
because they're looking for more than just like a list.
Yeah, definitely. You want to go beyond just listing machines you've seen or maybe even worked with. They're looking for depth here.
Mhm.
Think about specific projects. Maybe you had to troubleshoot a jacquard loom or optimize settings on a circular knitting machine. Quantify that experience. How many years? What was the scale of the project? What was your specific role in it? And even if you don't have experience that's directly from like a textile manufacturing plant, you can still relate relevant skills. Did you have a tough engineering project in college that involved precision or automated systems? Bring those to life.
Yeah, that's a good point about pulling from other experiences. I
Mm.
bet even like working on a car could be useful.
Absolutely. It all comes down to highlighting those transferable skills.
All right, next question. How do you stay up to date with the latest trends and technologies in the textile industry? This one is all about being a lifelong learner.
It is. And about showing that genuine passion you have for this field.
Yeah.
Don't just say, I read stuff. Give him specifics. Like, what publications do you follow? Textile World, Advanced Textile Source. What about industry blogs or influencers you follow on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
And if you can, bonus points for name dropping a recent innovation that relates to the company that you're interviewing for.
Oh, yeah. That shows you've done your homework.
Right. Like, hey, I'm not just here for any job. I'm here for this job.
Exactly. All right. What strategies do you use to identify and develop new business opportunities in the textile machinery industry? Yeah, this one feels a little more high pressure to me.
Think of it this way. You're not just selling a product, you're offering solutions. Right. So what challenges are textile manufacturers facing? Is it reducing waste? Is it efficiency, sustainability? And how does the machinery that you're selling address those challenges? Have you ever found like a gap in the market or come up with a creative solution for a client? Use the STAR method here. The situation, the task, the action, and the result. Really paint them a picture and show the positive outcomes you've achieved.
Yeah, and, the career guide, it really highlights active listening and understanding the needs of clients.
Oh, for sure. You don't just want to launch into some generic sales pitch.
Right.
Instead, focus on asking those insightful questions, uncover those pain points and then tailor your approach from there.
Yeah.
So you're not just selling, you're building that relationship.
Yeah, okay. So how about handling those objections?
Right.
How do you handle objections or pushback from potential clients during the sales process? So this is negotiation time.
Exactly. Stay calm, listen carefully, and address those concerns in a way that builds trust. You can acknowledge their concerns and then try to reframe the conversation. Maybe you focus on the long-term benefits. You're not just trying to close a deal, you're aiming for a lasting partnership.
Oh, that's a nice way to think about it. It's a partnership.
It is.
All right, so next question is all about teamwork. How do you work with internal teams, such as engineering and production, to ensure client needs are met?
Collaboration is key in this type of role. Remember, you're that bridge between the client and those technical teams. So highlight how you communicate complex information effectively and how you can advocate for the client while also, understanding what engineering and production can actually handle. Have you ever had to overcome a challenge or meet a crazy deadline while working closely with those teams? Show them that you can navigate all those internal dynamics.
Okay, how do you ensure that you meet your sales targets and quotas?
So this is where they're looking for that drive and ambition. But don't just say, I'm a go-getter. You need to show them you have a plan. How do you set goals? How do you break them down? How do you track your progress? If you have any experience with CRM systems or tools like that, let them know. And, it's okay to mention challenges like competition or the economy, but make sure to frame it in a way that shows your resilience.
Yeah, that you can kind of roll with the punches.
Exactly.
All right, let's tackle a communication challenge.
All right.
How do you communicate technical information to non-technical clients in the textile machinery industry?
You have to remember that not every client is going to have the same technical background as you. So you got to avoid using too much jargon. Focus on the benefits. How will the machinery solve their problems? How will it improve their bottom line? Use things like analogies, visuals, storytelling. Make the information relatable.
So it's like you're translating engineer into plain English.
Right, but you still got to keep it interesting.
Well, for sure. Okay, last question. How do you prioritize and manage your workload as a technical sales representative? Now, this is where those long hours and demanding deadlines might come into play.
It's true that this role can be demanding, but it's also really rewarding. You have to show them you can handle the pressure. What are your organizational skills like? How do you multitask? How do you prioritize? Mention any experience you have with project management, methodologies, or tools. It's about working smart, not just hard.
I love that work smarter, not harder.
Hmm.
Now, before we move on to some more questions, I do want to mention RoleCatcher briefly.
Yeah.
This AI-powered platform can be really helpful when you're prepping for interviews.
It can be a game changer. RoleCatcher analyzes those job descriptions, identifies key skills, and helps you tailor your answers to each specific role. And then there's the AI feedback, so you can refine how you're saying things and build up that confidence.
Yeah, it's like having a little interview coach right in your pocket.
Oh,
We'll go into RoleCatcher in more detail later, but for now, let's get back to those interview questions.
sounds good. Okay, so you've tackled those first few questions, but now we need to really dive into your knowledge of the textile industry itself, and of course your passion for this particular role.
Okay, hit me with a tough one.
All right, how about this? What are some current trends or challenges in the textile machinery industry that you find particularly interesting?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh.
It's making sure you're paying attention.
Right. It's about going beyond the machines themselves. What about things like sustainability automation industry 4.0, the impact of global supply chains? Have you read anything about new biodegradable fibers?
Yeah.
Or companies using robotics? This is where you show them you get the bigger picture.
Yeah, it's connecting those trends and challenges back to the role of a technical sales rep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like if a client is trying to be more environmentally friendly, you can talk about those energy efficient dyeing machines. Or if they're worried about labor costs, you can bring up automated sewing systems.
Well, that's a good way to tie it all together. Okay, so let's say they ask you this. Can you describe a time when you had to present a complex technical solution to a client who didn't have a strong technical background? How did you make sure they understood?
This is so common in technical sales. You have to tailor your communication. Think about a time when you explain something complex in a simple way. Maybe you used analogies or visuals, like comparing a weaving system to an orchestra, or using a diagram to show how things work. You're not dumbing it down, you're just making it accessible.
I love a good analogy. They're so helpful.
And don't forget to quantify the benefits. Instead of saying, this machine is faster, you say, this machine will increase your output by 20%.
Yeah, give them those numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's a little different. Tell me about a time when you had to deal with a difficult client or a challenging sales situation. How did you handle it?
So this is about how you problem solve and how you deal with pressure. Pick a situation where you stayed calm and focused. Maybe a client wasn't happy with a machine, or a negotiation was falling apart. How did you figure out what was wrong? How did you communicate with everyone involved? And how did you ultimately find a solution?
It's about showing what you learned from the experience.
Right.
All right, getting close to the end of the interview and they ask, do you have any questions for us?
I don't.
Don't just say no.
Oh yeah, this is your chance to shine. Have a few questions ready to go that show you've done your research. Maybe ask about the company's growth plans or what a career path in this role looks like. You can even ask about some of the challenges the team is facing.
And it's also okay to ask about things you're unsure of about the company culture or anything like that.
It's a two-way street. You need to make sure it's a good fit for you too.
Okay, so we've done a lot of interview prep. Now let's go back to RoleCatcher for a minute.
Sure.
How can this AI tool help people really fine-tune those answers and get that confidence boost?
So remember, RoleCatcher isn't giving you canned answers. It's helping you see what the company wants and tailor your answers accordingly. You can plug in the job description, practice answering questions, and then the AI gives you feedback on how you sound and what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like a practice run with expert advice.
Exactly. And it can really help if you get nervous during interview.
For sure. So we've gone over some tough interview questions and seen how RoleCatcher can help you out.
Right.
But what about the big picture? What does a career in this industry look like long term? Okay, so we've prepped for those interview questions and hopefully you're feeling ready to go. But now let's talk about the long game. What can you expect in terms of your career path if you land this job?
You know what's great about this industry? There isn't just one path. There are tons of ways you can grow. You can move up in sales, you can focus on a specific niche, you could even move into a related role.
Yeah, the career guide actually lays out a few different stages. Like, you could start as a junior technical sales rep, then move up to a regular technical sales rep, senior rep, and then eventually, management, sales manager, director of sales even.
Right, and more responsibility comes with each step, of course.
Mm.
When you're just starting out, you're going to be learning the ropes, shadowing the more experienced people on the team. But then as you gain experience, you'll start managing your own clients, coming up with your own strategies, maybe even leading a team.
So let's say you nail the interview and you get the job. What are some things you can do to make sure you keep moving forward in your career?
Never stop learning. The textile industry is constantly changing. New tech, new innovations, even consumer tastes are always evolving. Things like 3D knitted fabrics, smart textiles, sustainable materials. You have to keep up with it all. Go to industry events, take online courses, maybe even get some certifications.
It's all about staying sharp.
Exactly.
Now, the guide also mentions networking. I bet that's pretty important in this industry.
Oh, for sure. Networking is huge. It can open so many doors and give you a real insider's perspective. Go to those trade shows like ITMA or Textile, join industry organizations, connect with people on LinkedIn. It's all about building those relationships.
Like they say, your network is your net worth. The guide also talks about showcasing your capabilities. What does that look like in this kind of role?
It's not enough to just do your job well. You have to show people what you've accomplished. How did you help a client? Did you exceed sales targets? Put numbers to those successes, create case studies, and be ready to talk about them in performance reviews or even future interviews. You have to show them what you're worth.
So it's like building a portfolio, but for your career.
Exactly.
Now, we touched on this before, but those career paths, they're not always a straight line.
Right. You might find yourself drawn to a certain type of machinery, like maybe you love weaving systems or digital printing. Or maybe you get really interested in a niche market, like sustainable textiles or performance wear. Don't be afraid to go after those interests, even if it means taking a bit of a detour.
I love that you're in control of your own career.
You are.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of technical sales reps and textile machinery, I want to leave you with this. What kind of impact do you want to make?
Do you see yourself as that go-to expert helping clients make tough decisions? Or maybe you want to lead a sales team and smash those goals? Or maybe you're all about innovation, bringing those new technologies to life. Whatever it is, this is an industry where you can really make your mark.
So go out there, get ready to tackle those challenges and build the career of your dreams. We hope this deep dive has given you the tools and the knowledge to ace that interview and get started. Thanks for joining us.